Everybody, this is Rick Vanderclock from the Blue Magazine. I'm sitting with the Republican candidate for governor, Jack Ciattarelli, and my colleague Holly Finley from the Blue Magazine. Jack, how you doing, sir?
Doing real well. Congratulations on pronunciation of my last name. You nailed it.
I got it right, thank God.
Such a pleasure,
Holly,
sir. Thank you so much.
good to see you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come visit us.
Thank you.
We wanted to give you an opportunity to answer some questions. We did speak with your opponent, Mr. Spadia,
Yep.
and we gave him an opportunity to give us some answers, and we wanted to do the same exact thing for you. So thank you very much for taking your time out of your busy schedule.
No, it's much appreciated.
Appreciate it. So I'd like to ask you, could you please explain who is Jack Ciattarelli at nighttime when the cameras aren't rolling on you and when you're not on TV and you're not doing all your public appearances? Who is Jack Ciattarelli?
Well, at that age, that time of the day, I'm watching Yankee baseball if they're on TV.
There you go.
No, listen, the Ciattarellis have been here for 100 years. This is where my grandparents immigrated from Italy, thankfully. Raritan Borough in Somerset County.
Okay.
And 3 generations of Ciattarellis have all achieved the American dream right here in New Jersey. I didn't even leave to go to college. I went to Seton Hall University for my bachelor's and master's degree. Owned 2 businesses here. But I enjoy my family. I enjoy biking. I enjoy the Jersey Shore. And I think of myself as just a regular Jersey guy.
Just a regular Jersey guy. Fantastic. You recently got an endorsement from a very important person, President Donald Trump. And I wanted to know why this time you have his endorsement, but in your last campaign, you didn't get his endorsement or didn't request his endorsement. So I wanted to know what is different this time compared to the last campaign.
The president knows I can win.
Okay.
He wants the person who brings the energy to the campaign, somebody who can raise the necessary money. You do have to raise money in this business.
Yeah.
We've raised more money than our 5 Republican candidates combined, the 5 Republicans that are also running for governor. We have coattails. We flipped 8 seats in the legislature back in 21. I believe we can flip at least 13 seats this year. What's the significance of 13 seats? We get something we haven't had in nearly 3 decades, a Republican majority in the state legislature. And I think he also believes in my ability to get out there, support the Trump agenda in terms of making the country and New Jersey safe again. And so we're on the same page with regard to the issues. That includes no longer us being a sanctuary state and making, again, our community safe again and supporting law enforcement.
We've had some major crime increases in the state of New Jersey over the last 8 years. So, and in fact, over the last weekend, what happened in Seaside, I'm sure you saw on television that there was, 73 people arrested down there, a bunch of juveniles acting crazy, 3 people were stabbed. If you are elected governor, how are you going to stop all that madness and all that craziness down there?
Starts on day 1 with
Yeah.
an attorney general who supports local police departments and our local law enforcement professionals. That also includes the 21 county prosecutors that I appoint. They also need to support our local law enforcement professionals. Take the handcuffs off. Let them do their job. I don't have a problem with K-9s for crowd control. I don't have a problem with high-speed chases necessarily. I don't have a problem with no-knock warrants. We're not getting rid of qualified immunity. We're not getting civilian review boards with subpoena power.
No.
We're not making public internal affairs records or personnel records going back or forward. These are all things that the current Attorney General supports that have really demoralized our local PDs. My Attorney General will also support me in reforming bail reform. Cashless bail has created professional criminals. And anybody that's in the law enforcement profession knows that arrest, release, repeat is real.
Right.
How demoralizing is it to arrest somebody in the morning, have them be out by midday, and they commit the same crime in that town or the next town over in the afternoon. But we've got to give our local law enforcement professionals the tools they need to keep our communities safe. The cops down in Seaside Heights, who I visited with this past Monday, Tuesday rather, which was the day after the flash mobs, did the best they could, given the circumstances. But let's give them more tools. And I believe if any 16-year-old or older is committing chaos and enacting violence in the community, they should be charged as an adult. And if they're under 16, maybe we need to start holding the parents responsible in some ways. But we're not going to have flash mobs on our Jersey Shore when I'm governor.
Thank God.
Absolutely. Jack, can you tell me, I'm curious to know, what would you say your strongest character trait is, and how do you believe that that would help you to be a better leader or a great leader?
You know, I think it's often overlooked that our New Jersey government, it's a $50 billion enterprise with 60,000 employees and 9.5 million customers, our citizens, 1 million business customers, all the people that own businesses in the state, small, medium, and large. The state desperately needs a hands-on CEO governor, someone that understands New Jersey. We've been here for 100 years. I've lived here my entire life, owned 2 businesses in the state. I've also owned 2 companies in the state. So I kind of am by DNA a CEO. All of us have been small business owners. And so I just think that the state desperately needs a hands-on CEO that knows what's going on in the community in New Jersey. And that's something I certainly bring to the table. For, again, a family that's been here for 100 years, owned businesses here, and served at every level of government. I served 2 terms at the municipal level, 2 terms at the county level, 3 two-year terms in the state legislature, always term limited myself. But I understand what's going on in New Jersey. And I think that's really important, particularly when it comes to something like Rick's previous question. What's going on in the law enforcement community today? What is it that's handcuffed the men and women in blue, preventing them from keeping our community safe? Those are the changes. If you know what's going on, then you know the changes that need to be made. And so I think the greatest attribute I bring is a regular Jersey guy that's been here his whole life, but knows what's going on in our communities.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Could you elaborate and let me know exactly what qualities you expect in an attorney general that you're going to appoint?
Absolutely. My attorney general will come from the law enforcement community. So what does that mean exactly? It'll be somebody who served as a county prosecutor. Anybody that's been in law enforcement in the state knows that as per our Constitution, our police chiefs don't report directly to the mayor. They've got a dotted line to the mayor. They report directly to the county prosecutor. And the 21 county prosecutors report to the AG. So I want an AG who's been a very successful county prosecutor and working in partnership with the local PDs to keep our communities safe. We don't need a trial attorney. We don't need a courtroom attorney. No disrespect to that kind of lawyer. We need somebody that understands the law enforcement community. We desperately need that. So
Very good.
My attorney general will be somebody who came from law enforcement community, preferably county prosecutor.
I want to jump over to the high cost of medical in the state of New Jersey, and in specifically the medical retirement packages that the public employees get. We keep getting a lot of information that the costs keep going up and up and up, but yet a lot of retirees in this state have no COLA anymore because of previous administration stole it from us, and not just me, everyone in my field. So I would like to know from you if you can discuss COLA. Is there a way for you to bring it back? Do you have a plan for that? And if not, what are you going to do to help lower costs for the public employees that have no increase in their salary?
So let's talk about 2 things that are going on there, but preface that with me knowing that for a lot of law enforcement professionals, it's not just a scar, it's still an open wound in terms of what Christie said and then did. I wasn't in the legislature at the time, but law enforcement and fire professionals feel as though they were lied to.
Yes.
And so Chapter 78 has been a failure in one respect. Our cops today can get a 2 or 3% increase in their salary, but end up with less take-home pay. You pay your bills with your take-home pay.
Right.
And the reason why they're getting less take-home pay, despite the fact that they're getting a salary increase, is because of Chapter 78. The next governor needs to get healthcare costs under control in the state. And that just doesn't go for law enforcement, it goes for everybody across the state.
Of course, everyone.
But if we can't, we need to readdress Chapter 78. I think it's unfair for police, fire, teachers to get a 2 or 3% increase in their pay and end up with less take-home pay. So we need to readdress what the contribution is going to be to the healthcare costs. And so right now, I've advised any mayors to actually pull out of the state plan. The state plan has been a disaster. And I think that municipalities, where most of our law enforcement professionals are employed, need to shop around their health insurance and get a better rate. I'm the only candidate to be endorsed by the New Jersey State Retired Police and Firemen's Association because of my COLA proposal. Now, to be completely honest, as I always am, I don't believe we should be giving a COLA to somebody that retired yesterday. But there are people that haven't seen a COLA in 10, 15, 20 years. Yeah. What a lot of people don't realize is the reason why the COLA is so important. Great many law enforcement professionals and fire personnel did not pay into Social Security during their years employed as a police officer or a firefighter. They don't pay into Social Security. That's why the pension is so important. And considering what inflation has done to the purchasing power of their pension, they need to get a COLA. So I'm going to work with the union leadership to come up with a plan that's somewhere along these lines. You've been retired more than X number of years and you don't receive Social Security, you're going to get the maximum benefit on a new COLA because those are the people that need it most. So I had a town hall recently where a retired cop came up to me and said, Jack, I'm 69 years old. I just had to go get a job to afford my property taxes because I haven't seen a COLA in 20 years. I think that's terribly unfair, and we need to fix that.
COLA's been for 12, I think it was, wasn't it? Since 2011 was when COLA
So
was
Chris
enacted.
Christie came into office, I think, in 2009, 10, and that's when everything got frozen.
Yeah.
So you're looking at close to now, coming up on 15 years for
15,
some,
yeah.
for some retirees. But what I concern myself with is if we give a COLA to everybody, we're going to spread it so thin, the amount that you see in your monthly check will be insulting. I think we need to repackage it in a way that, let's not give it to somebody who necessarily retired yesterday, but more than X number of years ago, and doesn't receive Social Security from their law enforcement years. And this way we can get the greatest bang for the buck. By the way, it should not come out of the pension trust. The pension trust is only 70% funded for police and fire. That's better than the 50% for the state workers and the teachers, but still underfunded. If we take it out of there, we're only exacerbating the deficit in the trust fund. And I don't think we should put it on the backs of the municipalities who are up against the 2% property tax cap and face a lot of property pressure over property taxes. It needs to be a separate line item in the state budget, and that's what I've pledged to do.
Great. It's certainly needed, isn't it?
Certainly needed.
Did you hear anything about the proposal of a 13th check?
So one of the gubernatorial candidates on the Democratic side has said what he's going to do is a 13th check. People have bills all year long, and what I would prefer to do is put the COLA in each monthly check, so you're getting it all throughout the year.
I wanted to jump over to the sanctuary state status. Governor Murphy declared New Jersey a sanctuary state, and I would like to know, how do you plan on stopping and doing away with this sanctuary state status, number one, and number two, are you going to allow the state police and local law enforcement authorities work with ICE to remove illegal aliens that are in the state? How are you going to propose that works compared to what Governor Murphy has done with law enforcement now by handcuffing us?
So I said this back in 21 when I was running for governor. I'll say it again here in 25. Executive order number 1 on day number 1. We will not allow any town in our state to be a sanctuary city, and we will not be a sanctuary state. I think that only encourages illegal immigration. And I'm never going to tell a local police chief and mayor who they can or can't work with in order to keep their community safe.
Right.
So this is wrong. It's bad for New Jersey. And I think every governor has an obligation to work with the president, make our country safe again. And as porous as the border was during Joe Biden's 4 years, every state became a border state. People want safe communities. Yeah. And so the way to do that is by securing the border and not allowing any town to be a sanctuary city, nor will we be a sanctuary state.
Great.
And so the answer to your question is yes, too, in terms of state police assisting in every way.
Fantastic. Certainly needed there, isn't it?
Certainly needed. Yeah.
Jack, speaking of police, I don't know if you're aware, but the Blue Magazine has a charity, a 501c3 called Moment of Silence, and it's on behalf of Blue Suicide. It's one of our biggest passions. Can you give me your input on how you feel that is affecting our community? Do you have any thoughts on Blue Suicide?
What a lot of people don't know, and I know you guys know it, is that the suicide rate for retired law enforcement professionals is one of the highest on a per profession basis. And so a lot of it has to do with the stresses that are faced over the years in performing the job. But Holly, as you know, there's also a mental health crisis all across our communities today. And so one thing I did when I was a Somerset County freeholder is we opened up a 24/7 mental health clinic so people can find the resources they need to get the help they need before it becomes a crisis and before they end up in the emergency department. If you're ending up in the emergency room, sometimes it can be too late to address a mental health crisis. So we need to make sure, and as governor, I'll make sure all of our 21 counties provide the resources necessary for people to get access to quality health care, particularly when it comes to mental health services.
Are you open, Jack, to input from us in the field, law enforcement leaders, et cetera, to recommendations that we may have to create some solutions?
Holly, absolutely. I mean, I always say the first job of any candidate and the governor is to listen. I can't possibly be an expert in all areas. My job is to listen, collect all the information through collaborative approach, and then, make the executive decision as to what the right policy is. Well, I always warn people, any candidate that comes before you and pretends to have all the answers to all the issues that exist today, be very, very wary. But my first job is to listen. And when you sit down with the people that know what's actually going on in the community, and then make the decision as to what we need to do to serve our community best.
Thank you, sir. If someone were to come up to you at an event or in the street that was a police officer, and you knew that they were contemplating suicide, or someone told you that that person was, what would you say if you were face to face with that police officer who was contemplating taking their life?
I would stay with that person until we can get them in the company of their family. And if there isn't family, get them in the comfort of, in the company of a professional in that area. That is no time to leave somebody alone when someone is expressing that kind of feeling or thought to you. Yeah.
Thank you. So Jack, there's a lot of concern people feel, especially in law enforcement, with what happened with Chris Christie, and a lot of issues with the Republican Party as a result. Do you have an idea of what you can do to repair that issue or to fix the opinions of people that were really turned off and felt so hurt by the decisions that were made?
I get it, Holly, I really do, but that's the whole point of campaigns, and nobody works harder than I do to get out there and meet with people every single day of the week, face to face, and sit in their company and make them feel comfortable with who I am. I'm not Chris Christie, I'm Jack Ciattarelli, and we've got a crisis today in law enforcement. People do not respect the profession. We're seeing a shortage of people going into the profession. I think we changed that by law enforcement knowing that political leadership has their back. And I've told you that starts with an attorney general that agrees with me on a number of issues that we discussed today. But that's the whole point of the campaign. But I trust people's judgment. You know, I've won 7 elections in this state, 2 at the municipal level, 2 at the county level, and 3 in a legislative district where Democrats significantly outnumbered Republicans every single time. And one thing I've always done with great energy and passion and respect is go places other Republicans don't or won't and just talk with people and get them feeling comfortable about my candidacy. That's all I can do, and I trust their judgment.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming to watch the video with our Republican candidate for governor, Jack Ciattarelli. Jack, thank you very much for coming. Again, we know you're very busy and we respect your time, and we thank you very much for coming and answering our questions.
Always time for law enforcement and the Blue Magazine.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you so much.
Great question.